Hello everyone, this is Jacopo, CEO of Dynamight Studios, here with a new video development update for Fractured Online. Yes, I know it's been a while since I've released one of these, so I'm really glad to be here again. And without further ado, let's get to the topic of this video, which is basically to give you a retrospective and overview of what's been going on with Fractured Online since the launch of beta, with the focus on the month of June and the second half of May, and also a bit of July now, which is the time where we released several quality of life additions, feature changes and bug fixes that are a direct product of community feedback, of your feedback. So as you know, if you've been here during the launch of beta, the first couple of weeks first 2 or 3 weeks of April were just about bug fixes. Of course, it's been the first time that the game became playable 24/7. So a lot of bugs were reported, particularly related to the multiple continent system, because for the first time, Fracture didn't only have one world, but it had two, Mir and Erin, and that required rewriting a lot of the game code, and of course, bugs were a thing. So yeah, a couple of weeks of bug fixing. I think we fixed about 100 different bugs that touched basically any game feature. So I apologize for those, of course, but most are gone now, luckily. And then in the meantime, we were also working on the biggest feature released since the launch of beta, which has been the temperature system and its friend, the weather system. I'm not going to get into detail on those because there is a very good feature spotlight already on the blog. So if you want to know more, if you haven't experienced them in the game already, check out the video description and there's a link to the feature spotlight. Now let's get to the middle of May. So the start of our quality of life and community feedback patches. The very first one was actually exactly in the middle of May. It was May 12 and was patch B01E. And other than having a sort of bug fixes, of course, because those were still a thing, the first big request of the community, many people quit the game because of player killers next to harbors, killing everyone right out of the harbor, and players were still, traveling from A to B, still loading the game, and they would be killed while loading or just right after without having any possibility to protect themselves. This was obviously terrible, and this is why I started this video here next to a harbor on Erin. The reason being that there's now a circle of protection from PvP around harbors. You can see it in the game world thanks to this particle effect. And if you go out, you see that it will say that you've left and entered a peaceful area, so there can be no PvP in here, just like when you are in your own home or when you are in a player city. Now, together with the harbor protection, we've also introduced crafting taxes. I'm going to show them to you now. I'm going to teleport in a city in the live game, an actual player city, and give you an overview on those and explain to you why we did this. Alright, here I am at the town hall of an actual player city called Bravos in the continent of Mir. Governor would be Vortek. It's a rank 15 city, so it's the highest rank possible. It's a well-developed one. So let's see how they have set their taxes. None for citizens, none for residents, which would be the people living in the region of the city, which is this whole area here, and actually high taxes for foreigners. This is pretty common, right? Usually there's no tax for citizens if citizens are members of your own guild, but then there are taxes for people who are not. Let's get to any shop here, for example, a blacksmith, opening the forge and see what happens. So here I am at the forge, one of the shops in the city, and I'm choosing here a battle axe, which is one of the items that can be crafted here. As you can see, there are two sources of gold required. One is called gold fee and the other one is called city tax. The gold fee is always there, and it was introduced as a pure gold sink. So to craft this, I have to spend 400 gold that is going to disappear from the economy, is destroyed. Now to the following patch B01F. There isn't much to say about this one. There have been upgrades that we had to do to our backend engine, Spatial OS, moving from the old to the new Spatial OS platform that allows us to launch new servers and control running servers and some other services. So yeah, there was a lot of work here going on in the background, but nothing that you could see. So we can move to the next one. Now the next one, patch B01G, was all about hacking attempts and vulnerabilities that we had to close in the code. So yeah, we found several. There was a group of players that was exploiting several bugs. Some others were more correctly reported by white hat hackers, so to say. And yeah, a lot of those, well, all the known ones, in fact, were fixed around this time in the end of May. And then it came the three largest patches that I want to discuss in this video. The patch from June 7, which would be patch H. And this one brought to life a new chat. Now, as you know, if you've been here for a while, our old chat was extremely basic. You only had one single channel, this general global channel for discussions that would be broadcast to the whole server, and then you had one for your, local, of course, to write messages in here. That are only seen by people in the area, and then you had one for the party and the guild, and that would be it. Well, now there are more. In fact, there are 3 new channels: trade, help, recruit, with different colors. And even better than that, you can choose which one you want to receive. So, you can always do this and see, okay, I don't want to listen to the help requests of other players. I don't care. And also the people who want to trade, not interested in trading. So you just do this, and yeah, those are gone. By the way, we have given you a series of categories here, pre-made, but you can always go in this one, for example, called help. This one by default receives only the help channel, but you can rename it to, let's say, trade and help. And then you can say this one only receives trade and help. All right, and this is a new category. So you have the general one that receives everything, and you have trade and help that receives these two. Okay, so it's of course there are still some improvements we could do to the chat, but yeah, this makes it a lot more flexible, and particularly allows you, if there's someone that starts arguing on the global chat in the general channel, and the moderator is not there to shut them up immediately, you can say, okay, I just don't want to receive the general chat anymore. Okay, I've set myself as vice governor of the city again, and I'm looking at the citizen management tab, where you can see a new role which is called trusted citizen, which is the one that was added to this in this patch, where basically regular citizen can no longer access containers in the city, while this is now reserved to trusted citizens. And this was done, of course, for a reason, because there have been a lot of complaints regarding, governors accepting other players and players that would steal from the city, and so now you can differentiate between the people you trust and the people you don't trust. Also, trusted citizen are the role of trusted citizen is required to interact with packaging stations, harvesting fields, taking a catapult from the siege workshop, and so on. So all these critical activities are now delegated to trusted citizens only. As for the other changes in the patch, we could say they are minor. We have reworked the KO pop-up, we've reworked the status effects poison and bleeds, we've reworked the way stealth works, and probably the most important of all the quality of life updates here, much more requested, is the one related to being able to loot multiple monsters. So I'm going to spawn 3 different wolves here, and I'm going to kill them right on top of the other. As you can usually, what would happen here is that you would not be able to click on one of the two wolves, and it would be pretty infuriating for many players. But right now, if you click, both corpses will open and you can loot both of them at the same time. Yeah, and then of course we did some balancing changes and so on. To the next patch after. The patch after, in the middle of June 16, was all about balancing once again, and also about completing the continent of Erin. Now let's talk about game balancing for a little bit, because the June 7 patch was actually the first one introducing serious balancing changes. We've received a lot of feedback on balancing from the community and criticism, of course, because particularly in PvP, the situation wasn't great. To use a euphemism, there were only a handful of builds that were actually viable. To talk about builds, I first need to remind everyone who doesn't know that in the beta launch, we have added crafting progression, and we've added tier 2 armor and the concept of armor set. So before we used to have only common clothes, chainmail armor, plate armor, leather armor, and hide armor, while we now have 10 new sets, 2 for each type of armor. So the evolution of common clothes is scholar clothes and assassin clothes, and so on for all the other armor sets. When you have a full armor set equipped, like I do right now, where I have a full hunter set, so helmet, gloves, armor, and boots, I get an ability, and your book of knowledge will tell you what the ability is. So for the hunter armor, it will say that it's expert hunter. It's always a passive ability, and in this case it will be you deal up to 50% extra damage to monsters depending on how much knowledge you unlocked for them. So this is a strictly PvE set of armor that will make you deal a lot more damage to monsters, and it's a favorite of archers usually. I've seen many archers in the game using it. Of course, you can also have a sort of a hybrid mage, warrior, or a warrior class using this. But yeah, I've mostly seen it on ranger characters. Now, some of these sets were definitely overpowered, and I'm talking about the Slayer armor in particular. I'm talking about the Battle Mage armor, and in many ways also the assassin clothes with the previous functioning of stealth, while some others like the scholar clothes were not good, and mages in general were pretty underpowered compared to all the other character builds. You can see that I never say classes, because Fractured is a classless game, so you build your own class with your selection of attributes, your selection of abilities and talents. So this is in the first patch, in the June 7 patch, we have changed the functioning of silence. We have rebalanced all the effects of several of these armor sets, the full set abilities. We've changed something in the way critical damage is calculated, and so on. Very hard to describe everything, but check out the link in the video description again to see exactly what was changed there. The feedback of the community following these changes was absolutely positive, so we were really happy, and we then did even more in the following patch, the June 16 patch, where we have introduced changes to mage staffs, once again to make mages more competitive. Now the tier 2 mage staffs each have a unique property that is pretty significant. The energy staff has 15% cooldown reduction, while all the other staffs add stacks of their element. So the shock staff would add 10 shocked staffs, worm stacks, shield stacks, corrosion stacks for the acid staff, and poison stacks, of course, for the poison staff. Again, this was also very well received by the community. And then even more changes came in the patch on June 30. As a matter of fact, that patch had a ton of changes. We basically rebalanced the damage of and effect of most abilities. A few warrior abilities have been nerfed, while most mage abilities have been made stronger. You know, for example, if I look at this ability Fireball, a big classic, this one used to deal int multiplied 15 damage. It now does int multiplied 20 damage, so that's a big increase. And also the mana cost was reduced from 450 to 350. So yeah, and the cooldown reduced by 5 seconds as well. So this is just an example. You can see again in the video description the whole list of balancing changes. It's really a long one. Again, super appreciated by the community, so we are really happy. Of course, it's never over. You know, we keep doing more, but this is already a good. This was already a very good starting point. I think the two most significant changes in this whole series was a nerf to the very much used support ability Empower, and changes to the arrows abilities that are now cost no mana to be activated, and and similarly the touch abilities for martial artists. So now, that being said, what's the other big thing that came in these patches, other than other quality of life updates that I invite you to look at in the blog post? Changes to the continent of Erin. So let's teleport to Erin again. So here we are on Erin, and the first thing you will notice if you haven't played since the middle of June is that this whole portion of the world is now finally available. These bridges and these strips of land didn't exist before, they now do. So let's teleport right in the middle of this area. Here I am in the middle of the Dawn Island, and yeah, as you can see, you have a whole new set of monsters, which are the crystal elementals. I'm invisible to them right now, but you can see if I make myself no longer invisible to monsters, they will attack me. And yeah, they have a lot of abilities that are related to silencing opponents. They're probably some of the most challenging elementals to kill. Of course, I have an admin sword, so I can get rid of them very easily. But yeah, here we go. This is the theme. Crystals are the theme of this whole island, and yeah, we've also remade the minimap to be clearer to navigate by making it a bit more cartoonish than it used to be. All of these new creatures give a new set of abilities. If you just look up for crystal, then you will find them: crystal shackles, crystalline skin, crystalline touch, and the primal storm used by the greater elementals. Then, what happened in the following patch? In the June 30 patch, we have finally released another missing piece of Erin, which were the legends. So, as you can see, Erin now has its own legendary monsters, which are basically, if you don't know, world bosses that can be summoned at altars in the world. Here they are. There's the Colossal Fire Construct in Mount Ember. Then there is the Colossal Crystalline Construct, the Ice Construct here, and the Storm Construct in the Storm Islands. By the way, to summon this one, which is the strongest one, is a hard legend. You need to collect components that are found in the loot of these, and this other elemental. So this one is definitely the most challenging one. And then you have some easier legends, like the Fenris, the Lady of the Frozen Waste, a giant Arctic wolf found here, and the Mammoth found here, which is a medium difficulty. While if you want another very complex challenge, you can do Argar the Stormcaller, which is a Jotun legend in the middle of the Jotun Mountains. All right, so there was another very important piece that was missing on Erin. And while we did this, we have also rebalanced the requirements of all the legends. So here I am in the center of Mount Ember, and as you can see here, the requirements to summon the Colossal Fire Construct are actually items that are all found in this area. So the Fire Essence and the Cinder Pearl are pretty abundant in the monsters of the area. Primordial Dust can also be found elsewhere, but yeah, it can also be found in the monsters that live in this area. So I'm going to show you this in practice. Here is a greater fire elemental guarding the door, and yeah, of course I have these admin powers, so it will not bother me. But yeah, as you can see, I found a ruby, I found some fire essences. These are all the items that are required to summon this legend. And now here we are discussing the last patch coming out in the first half of July, which finally completes Erin in full. The only thing missing were the points of interest, and now they are here. I mean, it's not that Erin didn't actually have points of interest, it's just they were not shown on the map. You could not gain knowledge from them, but more importantly, these pins on the world map are super useful to help players move around these areas of the world that sometimes, you know, are a bit labyrinthic, so not so easy to travel. And this actually shows you where you can find the biggest aggregations of hostile creatures, and also the most spectacular and nice views for your screenshots. So there you go. Now you have them. These are, I think, particularly useful in areas like this goblin hills and the bandit areas here. The other bandit area would be here, and the other goblin area would be here. But also there are now pins in the Storm Island, on Mount Ember, where you find fire elementals, on Dawn Island, and on the Whistling Peak here at the top, where you can find the ice elementals. And now to the very last change, city conquests are back. City conquests are a very controversial topic. We had to disable them a while back due to a very strong community criticism that conquering the city was too easy. A guild could have spent weeks raising its city to rank 15 only to lose it in one single attack. This was obviously not good, a very big oversight on our part, and this has been changed. Right now the system is a lot more sophisticated. It requires multiple attacks for City A to be able to conquer City B, and also in some ways City A is also in danger if an attack is not successful. Why? Because we've introduced this new metric that is called city loyalty. If a city is conquered or is just been founded, the loyalty is 100%, and it can go down to 0%. If an attack manages to reduce the loyalty of a city to 0%, this city is conquered. Now, defenders can now build siege banners within a city as well, just like the attackers could in the siege area around the city. These banners can be built just like any other building, and the defenders can build up to 3, and these banners have to be destroyed before the attackers can damage the banner in front of the town hall and take the town hall. So now there's 4 banners to destroy instead of just 1 for the attackers, other than destroying the walls, of course, and being able to enter the city. This, if the attackers can destroy the banner at the town hall, they will remove 60% of the loyalty of the city, but the loyalty of the city regenerates over time, 4% per day, actually 1% every 6 hours. What this means is that an attacker has to do 3 successful conquest attempts in a row to be able to conquer the defending city, and it means 3 attempts where they destroy the actual town hall, the banner in front of the town hall. So it's much harder now, right? The winning is harder, and you have to win 3 times. And if you lose once, then the city is going to passively recover loyalty, which means that maybe you're going to have to do other 2 attacks. So this is going to end up being 5 attacks instead of only 3. So you get the point. If the defenders just manage to win once, to repel the attackers once, that's going to make things very hard for the attackers. Also, if an attacker fails to take the defending city, to complete the conquest attempt, for each banner that has been lost by the attackers, a bit of loyalty is lost, and if the tent of the attackers is destroyed, the attacking city will actually lose 30% of its loyalty. Now, it's not possible for the defending city to conquer the attacking city this way. So the attacking city will go to 0%, but will not be conquered by the defenders. But nonetheless, it would make it very, very exposed, because then an attack on the attacking city could conquer it in just one shot. So yeah, a lot more dangerous, a lot harder, and given the much longer time frame, we really think that we're giving way more chances to the defenders to organize, because of course, you know, even if you are a smaller guild and you lose once, then you can call for helps from other guilds, from mercenaries, and do much better the second time you're sieged. So that's the idea behind the loyalty system. Alright, so that was it. I'm sad that I cannot show you more, but it would be too complicated to actually simulate the siege in this video, because it requires multiple people. We've also done improvements to the user interface, by the way, where you have these icons of the banners, so you can see which banners have been, you know, how many banners are still standing on each side. There's been a few improvements, but again, too difficult to show them in this video. Alright, I really hope you appreciated this. Now we are finally going back to releasing new features. Arboreos is very close. Seasons are even closer than Arboreos. So stay tuned, because some of the things that you've been waiting for the most, I know Arboreos in particular, right? I know it's a very, very big thing for a big chunk of the community, is now really, really close. I hope you like this video, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.